Hi, we're waiting for this to work, but I'll title this in a second. This is just impromptu, something that occurred to me after this other video. Something people have kind of harangued me about, and trolls like to talk about, and then I'm always very frustrated with it. Um, so there we go. It's working. Trolls like to talk. Trolls like to. Okay, now. Okay, well, how was I going to put this? I I I set my standards and I keep them there, and I keep them low if they were low to begin with. So, for example, just it's sort of an abstract example, but it is actual as well. It's a real example. Um, when I first started using computers back in the 80s, it was text, and they had a very simple graphics, black and white. And then the first color graphics, I was amazed. That's great. And there was a problem. Certain colors next to each other created a little glitch, like a little white square, or a not cyan, but like there'd be purple and white squares, just little glitches where and it was because you couldn't put, because of the data values, you couldn't put these next to each other. And, it was terrible. And I was only like 13, 14 at the time, so I just thought that's the way computer graphics are. And I thought and I read about it and stuff and the technical problems, and it just didn't occur to me they were going to be able to do better, right? So once they got screens that didn't have that problem at a low resolution, like 640 by 480, I was already happy. I could live with 640, 480 right now, but I don't. I use the higher. It's like 1400 by something, and 1600 by something. And don't get me wrong, I can notice the difference. It's just that I don't appreciate it much. It's like the same thing with CD audio. When it came out, the people that were for it were like, they were fond of saying, "Oh, the human ear can't hear anymore." But they did studies; the human ear can hear more. By then, they had made it even better. But by the time I got to CD audio, I didn't believe the human ear couldn't hear better. I just thought that mine probably couldn't. I mean, it was like it's already at the asymptote as far as I'm concerned. It's close enough. So I've never had to buy an expensive sound card or graphics card, slower frame rates. I'm very appreciative. So when it comes to my YouTube, for example, um, it's a similar thing. Um, eh, I was born in 1967, grew up in the 70s and 80s, and 20s and the 90s, and so on. So when the internet started to kick in around, for me, around 94, 5, 4, I think, is when I got on. It might have even been, I don't think it was Netcom, but some ISPs, they were starting up. And of course, I used it a little bit and knew about it from college, but it was mostly just like the knowledge that existed. It wasn't the experience. But then in high school, I had done bulletin boards, which was just I had run one where it's like a website, but your phone dials into it, and then you connect to the website, basically, instead of an IP address. And those got pretty sophisticated where they could send messages to other, bulletin board systems and propagate it all over the world in the United States. So I diverged a little bit. So with YouTube, okay. So back then, to talk philosophy as a younger person, it's just like you end up in the part of the party. I mean, you have your friends, and maybe you can talk to them, but maybe not. A philosophical person doesn't always have, four philosophical friends. You get your friends for all different kinds of reasons. So, at a party where you're mixing in people, there's usually one, two, three people, maybe a couple more that'll form a little conversation thing. There's usually a guy that comes by that's like, "What are you talking about? Philosophy and politics. It's party." And you're like, well, this is what we do at a party. We drink, talk philosophy. Okay, just wondering. Rock on! And this is just a couple people at a time, right? Now, in my career, I give presentations and talk in front of and to groups of, you know, I mean, like from the 80s on, well, just talking about presentations to, 5 and 10 people all the time to, 10 to 30 people often, dozens and dozens of times, and to 100 or more, 200, you know, a few, maybe a dozen, maybe only six, um, in terms of having the floor, not just, raising your hand in a crowd. Done that tons of times, more hundreds of times that. So, I have an idea of scale, like, or if you wanted to make a career of giving talks and getting paid for talks, to go on tour and talk, people that are famous for certain topics will go around or go to schools and stuff and get 100 or 500, kind of like a band. Um, if you can consistently pull 100 people, either a captive audience like a school, where you have to convince the whomever decides who goes to school, the school faculty or the state uh, admin people. Um, or you can go to a bookstore or a community center and people will come and listen to you talk about real estate or whatever your philosophy, how to write, whatever it is you talk about. Um, very small numbers is sufficient of people. So to me, here's a video I just made a few minutes ago. 9 people have already showed up after I made it, right? So I don't have to wait for them and they have to finish dinner on time. 169, 165, 268 because it was about Gary. 49, Bernie nailed Fox. People don't want to hear that, or they either already know it or they don't want to hear it. 220, so 100 people, let's say. 77, 101. Ooh, 56 and 52, Heithel today. People don't want to hear me talk to Heithel today. 30. Oh, I know why some of these are 30 and 40 are down here. It's because this is when I was using the opening stingers was copyrighted music, so those get cut off. I don't think those show up in your feed. They're still viewable, most of them. Sometimes, like the one with Paul Simon, they stopped it from being viewable. The other ones, they let them be viewable. If you go to my page, I think, is how I think it works. But they stopped sending them out. So anyway, when I don't violate copyright, it's like that. That's a lot of people to me. 130 people came and listened to me, and if I look at the analytics, it'd be like, here, IQ and the Flynn effect, 366 people. Actually, let's see. Let's look at the analytics. How do you do that? Because it'll be like, with 366, it'll be like 10 listened all the way to the end. People are funny. Like Gary accuses me of not listening acutely, but I'll listen more than one time. If I'm going to reply to a video, for example, and I multitask, I'll generally like watch it one time, not doing anything else, but I might have listened to it a multiple times. Or if I don't reply particularly to a video, but I reply, hey, here's what I think about these videos I've been seeing, I will have listened to them maybe a couple times or a bunch of videos where, yeah, maybe I would miss parts of them. And, I just disclose that. I don't think that's a problem. Um, so that's okay that people don't listen to the whole thing, but I do listen to the whole thing. It's like I'll get 10% of the whole thing. I don't just get the first 2 minutes of a 20-minute video. That's like very rare. Um, Actually, it's weird. Why don't I quit more videos a couple minutes in? If it's really bad, I'm like, ah, I might stop listening. I mean, I would kind of assume probably the way I think about it, I listen less closely or something, lower the percentage, but it's like, I'm going to make it to the end or whatever. Also, there's not that many videos when you want long, like, um, videos and you're going to play them throughout a workday while you're doing other things. You'd be surprised how little content there is for that kind of thing. I mean, even there's other kinds of content. Like I like listening to classical music. You search for that, and there'll be study music, and there'll be 10 hours of it. Um, but there aren't. It's surprising how little variety comes up. Um, if it's the algorithm, or a lot of people do the same stuff, they jump on, hey, this is popular, and so they do the same thing. So the 10 hours of Beethoven and the 5 hours of Beethoven are very similar. Um, like it feels like a lot like you finish the internet. So I was going to find analytics. So this is the Flynn effect. I thought there was a way to click to analytics. I'll just go straight to analytics. And it's 366. This broad self-interest. Look, 5,000 views, only 1,500. Can you? 5,000 views, 1,500 or almost 1,600 minutes. So it's like an average of 10 seconds each. How did they even get to that? And this thing just keeps getting 5,000 views. This is last month. So it's like meaningless information, really. It's like, oh, this is really going out. What is the deal with that? We should watch that. Okay, okay, maybe if I put the last week or something. I know there's a way that I don't ever look at my analytics, so I don't know how this really works. Oh yeah, no, that was a long time ago. So it was longer than that. Let's just say this year. You guys probably know how to do this. Okay, so if I go back, click video, analytics, IQ and the Flynn effect. Go over to analytics. You just have to wait. Oh yeah, so there was other issues. Yeah, I got off track for that. Okay, well, I don't know how to find this out because I really don't care about my analytics. So the thing is, so I consider that a lot of people listening to me, and sufficient number to start to give me interesting individual feedback. Um, that worked out well, but also sort of spent itself, like used up the internet. Um, but no offense intended. I'm still open to that. But so I'm always when people like somebody said recently, you have 2,000 subscribers and you only have 45 views per video. Well, the 45 was because of that thing, but whatever. You only have 100 views. Like to have a lot, people want to have 50,000 or whatever. And so I'm always like, I'm not confused. I understand why people are saying that because they're like, I want to eat a whole mountain of popcorn. It's just like, I just want a cup of popcorn. And they're maximalists is what that would be called. And so I understand in that sense, but I also am just bemused by it because, like, to me, the idea that I can use a computer to, on a daily basis, have little tiny, meet at the library and 100 people show up and go, we're willing to listen to you. Half of us disagree with you. The other half of us think you're just crazy. And then the other half of us think that, you might be onto something, but you could put it better. Who cares about that? I mean, they keep, that's a lot. But then I realized you're right. You're right. A lot more people should listen to me. So this is about, maybe I'll say, maybe the title might be, Tell Me How to, what's, grow more viewers. Okay, so there's some limits on this of what I'm willing to do. One, production quality wise, I don't like doing edited videos. No offense, Kazoom, but I don't like that. I was making edited podcasts. I came to YouTube. I saw Red Light Rocket, and it was an unedited video of just what he thought. And I realized, that's good because you might stumble over a sentence, but that might be your best sentence. Maybe you stumbled because it was a particularly complicated concept. And let me hear it. And if you take longer or pause, now I don't mind the edited videos per se. I know that they're better from a production quality. I went to film school to make to a media news journalism school, and they say do this. Fine, it's more effective, but I don't really like that. I'm more metaphorically, it used to be literally, but more metaphorically punk rock about things, and bohemian. I like wild hair and things that are let to be natural. So I'm not going to edit. That's one of the limits. The other, so this is the edge of the production value. I'll try to have crisp green screen, but if it fails and isn't that crisp, I'm going to upload that anyway, but I might buy another light or something. But that's it. So live, I can move around this transparency and be different sizes. That's feasible. I could do something like comment on Democracy Now's headlines every day. Could do that. Something. So there's a effort limit as well because when they gave me a chance to monetize my channel way back in the day when they finally did that. When they said apply, I didn't. When they sent me the offer, I didn't. I don't want to monetize it. I wouldn't mind writing a book. I'm not saying I'm against making money off of ideas or anything like that, but that's not what this is about to me. As a channel, it's paywalls and stuff. I'm not offering the kind of information you should pay for. I'm just saying how I feel with enough information that you could look it up or check my ideas and sources and concepts. Like I say, Biden says embarrassing things. Just Google Joe Biden embarrassing quotes and see. Do you find any or no? I'm maybe because I'm going from my memory. Maybe I got bam swoogled. So yeah, I don't know what the title will be, but it should be. It probably won't be, but it should be. Leave advice below for Pyrrho on how to grow his channel and make it more appealing from an aesthetic point of view or even content. And he won't take your advice probably very much at all, but he'll try to, and he'll think that he did, and he'll tell you that he did within the limits that he set up, him being me, and so on and so forth, not valid in all jurisdictions. And we're Oh, hey, wait, I have a comment. J. Troy Doe says, hello again, or maybe that's left over from the last time. Not really sure, but hello, Troy Doe. Well, you've already added to the conversation enough for me to offer a one-on-one hangout to discuss whatever you want. See, I'm thinking promotionally now. Yeah, let's grow the channel.